Alright class, before we start memeing with Mathemagics, we are going to have a little bit of a try-hard metagame lesson, so get ready. Pencils out. Hello folks, Phil Gallagher aka ThrabenU here for another Legacy video. And MTGO user JNovi has asked me to brew around Mathemagics, which is a rather interesting card that has a lot of potential. So blue, XX, target player draws 2 to the X cards. And luckily, for those of us that aren't super math inclined, they have all of those exponential numbers up to 32 drawn cards down in the card description there, in parentheses. So this starts as an inefficient card draw card. 2 to the 0, that's 1. 2 to the first, where we're paying 4 mana, this is 2. 4 mana draw card. 4 mana draw 2 cards. Doesn't sound great. 2 to the second. 6 mana draw 4. Doesn't sound great. 8 mana draw 8. Well, now we're starting to get somewhere. So as you can see, this card ramps up rather quickly. So if you are playing a big mana deck that can realistically produce Cloudpost levels of mana, this serves two functions. This can be a mid-game card draw option, where you literally just tap out on your turn and go back to a full 7-card grip or beyond. But when you start getting to 2 to the 5th, you might just deck your opponent by making them draw 32 cards. And if you get to 2 to the 6th, that is 14 mana, that makes your opponent draw their entire deck. And they are just dead, full stop. So this can be your Emrakul of sorts, but it's an Emrakul that you would cast before it kills your opponent, which is rather interesting. So we're going to be going the big mana shell today, and we're going to start with a little bit of a metagame lesson here, because the big mana decks in Legacy have changed a lot. At least the one that's on top has. In the past maybe 2 to 3 weeks, this actual factual Tron deck has really started breaking out. And while Planar Nexus alongside Urza's Tower specifically has been a part of this shell for a long time, this deck has started playing Mine, Power Plant, and Tower. And it is just playing so many Urza lands now. And one of the big things that changed is that the deck went up to an entire playset of Candelabra. And when you get to repeatedly untap your towers that are making a lot of mana, or untap your workshops that are making a lot of mana, things can get pretty silly very quickly. And the things like Emrakul and Ugin, and it's on main deck Cityscape Leveler now, seem surprisingly castable. And with not only 4 Candelabra, but also often Urza Saga to find them, the deck can do its thing very, very consistently. And if you're interested in some numbers on this, please take a look, or rather a listen, to our most recent episode of the Eternal Glory podcast. This, or something within a few cards of this, is kind of the optimized way to play big mana decks in Legacy right now. But this doesn't cast blue cards. So playing the highly optimized, very good way of making big mana isn't quite going to work for us. We're going to have to go back to Cloudpost. So here is what I have cooked up for today. We want it to make sense for us to play Mathemagics, and we would like Mathemagics to be good when we have it. And so we need to be a big mana deck. We are going with Cloudpost rather than the full-on set of Urza lands, because it requires fewer of the lands in our mana base. We need to be able to make blue-blue. And so we need to fit a few extra blue sources into the mana base. And we have some MDFCs to help out with that as well, as we also want to make sure that we don't die to combo decks, or at least have a fighting chance against them. Hence, we've got Force of Will here to help out, and in a pinch, Mathemagics also will pitch to that. So one of the cool things about this deck is that, in theory, we have Kozilek's Command and Mathemagics as our, very large finisher cards. And we should have the mana to take advantage of that. This deck is going to play out a slower gameplay pattern than the other deck, the full-on Tron deck, might. And we're going to kind of cantrip with Thundertrap Trainer and have something that can chump block opposing creatures on the ground, like Barrogoyfs. And we are going to have stock up in the mid-game to give us some card advantage. We're still doing some of the same Karn and One Ring stuff, although access to blue gives us something a little bit cheeky in the form of Moonsnare Prototype, which we can channel to get something out of play temporarily, which can be a big deal. The deck is playing a few copies of Waterlogged Teachings and Underground Seas so that it can have a Barrogoyf sideboard pivot, which is telling for how good Barrogoyf is in Legacy, that these Cloudpost decks tend to go in that direction. So we're definitely memeing a little bit today in trying to make Mathemagics our win condition, but I'm not actually sure that it's going to be all that bad. Hopefully we get to tap out for some large copies of this and either refuel our hand or make our opponents die with it. With that being said, should you find that you need any Magic cards, please consider getting them from my sponsor, TOAMagic.com, and when you do, use promo code ThrabenU to save a little bit on your order. Folks there are great. I like them a lot. They've gotten me a lot of cards pretty quickly. I vouch for them. And with that being said, let's battle. What a bizarre hand. I don't know that it's a mulligan. This is straight up starting on just 3 blue lands. Very, very unusual. We're just gonna pull that comment up on screen here. I had Sphere of Resistance and Lodestone Golem Nightmares last night, thanks to you. I'm doing my part. All right. I think my opponent was playing some sort of Dimir control deck when I played them yesterday. Oh, we've got Volcanic Island and DRC. I might just Force of Will that. Since my start is slow, I could take 9 chip damage off of that DRC, which I don't super want to do. Fantastic. You can take a look-see. I thought I was going to be masquerading as a Dimir control deck for a few rounds. It really depends on what my opponent sees here. Okay, I might still be masquerading successfully. I think I'm going to land cycle in the first turn and probably do this ETB tap turn 2. If I draw a Force of Will, I can think about not getting rid of this immediately. Ponder's fine. Wow, that is a 3/3 already. I guess I'm glad that I Force of Willed the first one. Basic Island. Yeah, alright. That kind of, the jig is up. Ooh, hyper aggressive. Upkeep, lightning bolt my face. Which honestly probably is correct. My opponent wants to get me dead ASAP. They can't beat my endgame. Just full stop. Resolving something like an Ugin against them is a death sentence. But their deck is relatively fast. So, a Quarry Steelcutter coming down and creating a couple of Monk tokens could put me into a very bad spot before I even have a chance to play the One Ring. Low state, and everything is turned on. Disruptor Flute is a thing. I am into casting this, and if it resolves, I think I name Wasteland, and I will play an ETB tapped land and call it there. The Disruptor Flute has a few different modes there. It was potentially Daze Bait being played on its own, so I don't know that the Daze name is correct there. But you can also just name Force of Will to say, you don't get a hard counter to the things that I am doing. That is a medium-sized Murktide Regent, leaving a sorcery in the graveyard. Ooh. Blue. Whoops. We did get an unusually blue hand by the, or rather, blue mana hand by the standards of this deck. That is a Surveil land. Yeah, Quarry Steelcutter, fully unnecessary at this stage. It is Daze. This is 9 damage here, which means that the One Ring is kind of too late. I can play it as a Fog, but that's not great. I am at 1. I don't really know that I can draw a card off of that. I am fully dead. Double Lightning Bolt. Very, very relevant amount of time difference there. GG. This is what these cards exist for in the sideboard. I will probably take Force of Negation out. Probably go down on Force of Wills, maybe boarding it out completely. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to fight on the stack with Force of Will against a deck that has a bunch of Pyroblasts. So I might just play 2 Hydroblasts as removal spells here. And we simply just did not get set up. Again, the blue Cloudpost version of this big mana deck takes a while to get going, and then is powerful once it gets going. Whereas the full-on Tron deck just tries to start going right now. Alright, my opening hand is okay. I think that I'm going to keep it. I believe that that is just going to involve putting a Disruptor Fluid on Wasteland to attempt to stabilize my mana. I'll do it in my opponent's upkeep, so Force of Negation can't be used to counter this. Wasteland. But now all I need to do is get to 7 mana. And the hope is that my opponent does not have a starting turn 1 creature. We've cleared that bar. So then the next hope will be that they don't have turn 2 Quarry Steelcutter with Bobble. Well, that was top. Kind of just want to do this for 1, rather than take bonus Ancient Tomb damage. So I suspect what I am going to do is just cast this, remove a monk token or a creature. Ponder is fine, while either drawing a card or setting a spawn aside for later. Alright, do I still want to cast this end of turn? Sure. Let's go spawn and draw a card. I could attempt to get a little bit more value out of this. I don't know that I need to. Barrogoyf is quite awkward. I don't have any of the black mana right now or anything that cantrips towards it. I will just say no to that. Would have gotten it if I kept it. Daggers. Oh, very nice. I will just play a tower and pass the turn. Next turn I will have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I will be able to Ugin around Daze. Potentially taking out something else while I do so. And there goes a Wasteland that we shut off via Disruptor Flute, so that's nice. Rainstorm is fine. And if Ugin does not resolve, I can filter mana into blue through Planar Nexus a turn or 2 down the line, and just do a decent-sized Mathemagics targeting myself. Delta comes down. The opponent's first threat comes down on turn 3, which I am thankful for, and it's not even a 3/3 yet. Lorien Revealed can get me a black source for later as well. Here we go. Alright, there is Ugin. This on-cast trigger gets rid of DRC no matter what, so I at least get okay value from this card, even if something like Consigned Memory happens afterwards. Alright, there is a Force of Will, but we do get to take out the creature still. This is all fine. I have a Glimmer Post set up that is going to give me a little bit of life as well. There is Quarry Steelcutter. Lightning Bolt my face is fine. I will go to 11 and take some damage here. I'm at 9. New Cloudpost. I really want this in play, but I think it is just correct to gain some life here. I think I'll hold the Mathemagics and just do 5 mana Lorien Revealed. This is fine. I have an Ugin next turn. I don't think I want to. If I had left a blue open, actually I don't think I could have left that because I needed both of these for the Lorien Revealed pips. Then 3, 4, 5, 6, and land drop 7 for the next Ugin. It is flow state time. I'm eyeballing Mathemagic. We're not quite at 32 cards in deck yet, but I'm a few turns away from having enough mana to just kill outright with this. It's just A little unfortunate how much pressure this deck puts up, like, as opposed to the Dimir deck, which is a little slower. The Lightning Bolt's going to face, excuse me, and the haste damage from Corey Steelcutter really add up. Alright, do I need this spawn? Can this spawn be gain 3 life? So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Some extra to pay around days. I don't think I need this spawn. Let's just gain some life here. Another bolt. Wowzers. Alright. I will play Underground Sea and Ugin. We'll get rid of Corey Steelcutter. I will go ahead and plus this for 3 life and some card draw. And we see if my opponent can kill me from 8. It is fully possible. DRC. That doesn't trigger prowess. That does. Corey Steelcutter to graveyard. My opponent needs to cast 2 more spells this turn to kill me. Well, 2 more non-creature spells that trigger prowess, more accurately. I very, very likely win if I untap. Just 4? Just 4? Not just 4. Another lightning bolt. Oh, a pyroblast purely for prowess. Counterspell. Consign on the trigger. Yeah, that'll do it. And then they can also Mystic Sanctuary something onto the top of the deck for if this goes wrong somehow. That'll do. GG, we just didn't get enough time to get set up. Today's video is sponsored by moxfield.com. If you're looking to store your decks online, you're not going to find a better website. It's super organized and easy to use, and I sort everything that I do into a ton of format-specific folders, and you can customize the way that you use Moxfield to your liking. Whether you like text views or visual views of multiple different natures, Moxfield has it all. And it's so easy to use, you might even say that it's a snap. All right. I am going to keep this opening hand here. It has a pair of Cloudposts and also a little bit of protection for whatever it is I'm going to need to protect or otherwise stop. That is most unfortunate for us. We will run back the same play, but now I don't have the appropriate amount of mana, which is not great. I am just kind of naturally making 2 mana here. This is not really what I want to see. I'm not far away from doing something busted, but it kind of requires specific draws. We are probably playing against a Boros energy deck. With Sand Scout going to the graveyard, I think we can confirm that. I can do something to slow my opponent down here, and then hopefully use Kozilek's Command as a removal spell as well. Goblin Bombardment. That is a lot of reach. I think I'm going to go ahead and do this and just take that out and keep Force of Will and hope that it becomes good. I think I'm not just going to cycle this here. I'll wait until this can potentially be used for some good the following turn. And now, if I want, I can Force of Will and then just kind of assume that the One Ring does something gross. Yeah, that can resolve. Sure. I think I'm going to exile that creature and scry. Yeah. Force of Negation, I'm going to say no to. I'm just looking for any mana source. All right, cool. Found one. I am good with the One Ring here. With Force of Will backup. In case my opponent is about to flash in something that I don't like. Oh, no, just fully could not use the mana. What on earth does that mean about my opponent's hand? I mean, I guess this is the answer, right? I'm okay just Force of Willing that. Getting rid of the stock up, which is a very reasonable Magic card. All right. Opponent's got a lot of nothing over there. I don't know if they're just stuck with some cards like Swords to Plowshares that are just fully not usable or what. Do I have a land drop that I can get off of Karn? No. I can get Bridge, which is kind of cool. I can get EE, which is kind of cool. I just play Thunder Trap Trainer here. I don't know. I don't know that that's better than just holding up Kozilek's Command. I'll pass the turn. Like, if my opponent is just fully flooding out and doesn't play a creature, I will make a bunch of spawns and scry a bunch of times and presumably just win. No to Ancient Tomb number 1. I have lands that I would like a lot more than Ancient Tomb. I'm just going to say no and assume that between, like, the card that I get there, my draw step, and One Ring, I find something better. Like, finding a Planar Nexus, for example, is just so very much mana. Hey, a Planar Nexus. Now we're cooking. So there is Planar Nexus. I just want to do this with Offspring, wild as that is. So first one, misses. Second one, yeah, I'll take a new One Ring. That's fine. Then I'll tap Cloudpost, go to here, do a Karn the Great Creator, and honestly, I'll just plus with this because my hand is full. I was kind of hoping to get a Force of Will there and just be fully safe. It seems like my opponent's draw is just hot garbage, though, so hopefully that is all just fine. Activate the One Ring, play a Glimmer Post, gain a bunch of life. 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 mana? 14 mana is the magic number. This is what we came for. This is absolutely not the correct play, but it's... Oh no, I have to filter through Planar Nexus. 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Oh, I can't kill with that till next turn. No! Alright, whatever. We'll do it the boring way. There's Mycosynth Lattice. Alright. Easy. We can pass the turn there and discard a handful of things. These are now colorless. I'm going to just keep one in hand anyway, because if this somehow gets removed, it's one of the only ways that I could, like, lose. End of turn, I'll do this again. No, 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 and no. I'll take a little from my ring here, not a problem. Karn plus on the One Ring. Go to combat. Send in for some damage. Opponent to 11. Cast a new One Ring. Keep this one. Drop a land. Pass the turn. And then next turn I can get my Mathemagics kill for the camera. Planar Nexus. Mathemagics. So I need 2 to the 6th, which is 14 mana. I can do 2 to the 7th, 2 to the 8th, 2 to the 9th. Just for good measure. Oh no, I can't do 2 to the 9th. Or no, it's 2 to the 9th, but there was an in-between. Alright. My opponent has drawn their deck. We have done the thing. The Mathemagics there was fully unnecessary. We had the game just 100% won with the Karn already. But we did it. GG. What was that? Draw 512 cards? Pretty good use of my mana. Alright, my opponent is playing Energy. Do I want Barrowglyphs? They're okay. Force of Negation is a little weak, but the things that it can hit, like Goblin Bombardment, are a bit of a big deal. I don't know that I'm going to sideboard here. Barrowglyph would be okay. I think I'm just hoping to go bigger than what my opponent is doing. Alright, I have 3 lands to start with, one of which is a Cloudpost, and I can interact with something like a Goblin Bombardment. This is fine. That resolves. That one, it would probably Force of Will, but I don't have that. I'll Cloudpost and pass. I will take a little bit of damage from Ocelot Pride. The scarier thing is actually it just making more bodies. Like, the increasing nature of the damage is pretty scary for me. Amped Raptor is going to resolve into another Ocelot Pride. Shit. Yeah, kind of in thinking about this hand, I was like, oh, I'll have Thunder Trap Trainer. That can buy me a little bit of time. While technically true. Those are not super what I'm looking for right now. Anyway, while technically true, I don't know that this is going to be fast enough. Lazotep Quarry is not overly scary. Alright, opponent's just sending all of it in regardless. That is probably just correct. I will attempt to kill an Ocelot Pride here. My opponent is still going to get to trigger the other one of these. Agate Instigator. Sure. And I don't know this. Stadium Headliner. Sacrifice this creature. It deals damage equal to the number of creatures you control to target creature. Sure. I'll take 1 from the Agate Instigator and then another at end step from this trigger. Sure. So I can Glimmer Post and gain a little life here. I don't need to tap all of that. Just Cloudpost will do. All right. So, probably want Planar Nexus Ugin without thinking about it too much. The next turn I can play Planar Nexus. Go 3, 4, 5, 6. Ooh, not great. I think I'm going to get run over. Am I going to have lethal with Planar Nexus, or is this tower the following turn? If I go like 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, no. I think I will accordingly discard a Mathemagics then. Maybe I do just need Barrogoyf in this matchup. Opponent's build is also a little weird and has more like direct damage burn than I would normally be expecting. So, City's Blessing is now here. I will block the Ocelot Pride. I can't let my opponent keep making cats, which also represent bird from Agate Instigator. Although I guess the Quarry is now online for that. All right, so much for getting to Force of Negation. Some things. Ugh. I think that's literal death, right? No, I'm at 1. Yeah, that's just not gonna do it. We got overrun. All right, I will play the Barrogoyfs. They're better when I'm on the play anyway, in all likelihood. Take out the Force of Negations. I still need Force of Will to buy a little bit of time. And most of the other stuff is reasonable, so I might just be trimming some stuff around the edges here. All right, my opening hand is okay. I have a Cloudpost and 2 other things that count as a locus. That'll do. I don't want to see opposing Wasteland here, though. There's a Plateau and a Guide of Souls. I will just remove that with Kozilek's Command. That is fine. Ooh, nice. Now I have 3 mana for Kozilek's Command. I want to just sending that in immediately. I will happily kill it. I'll scry and draw for the other mode. Karn? Karn is fine. Get out of there. Maracas comes down. Agate Instigator. I think I'll just counter that. Force pitching Waterlogged Teachings. Just not deal with that direct two-face burn damage. I assume I have Ensnaring Bridge. I do have Ensnaring Bridge. There is Karn. I only have 2 mana, though. I will Karn minus. I think I am still taking that bridge. Sand Scout. I do have more lands than my opponent. They get to search up Lazotep Quarry. And then a land went to a graveyard, so they can get a 1/1 there. And play a Guide of Souls. Sure thing. I could do some EE stuff. I could do some Walking Ballista stuff, and it's probably pretty gross as well. Yeah, let's just tutor, get Walking Ballista, drop a land, go 8, do a Walking Ballista for X is 4, and kind of hold off versus this stuff. And then next turn I can like do some stock up stuff, start looking for something that fully finishes off my opponent. A new Sand Scout. I think I can let my opponent have that first energy. Just leave this in play as a 4/4. Okay, that can resolve. Now it targets the Walking Ballista. I think this is the point where I attempt to kill the Guide of Souls. And my opponent should probably fetch there. They did not. Well, now I'll try to ping a Sand Scout and do so again. This is the point where they should fetch while this is still in play. Or no, the number of lands. Oh, is it equal? No, it's when the lands are put into the graveyard, they get it no matter what. When it enters, it checks the land number. Okay, yeah, that's fine. There's just a little bit of tension here between like the Ensnaring Bridge that I have and the stock up that I have. Not too worried about it overall. Cloudpost. I'm going to do that tapped. Filter into blue through this and stock up. Force of Will, Thundertrap Trainer. I want to run out of cards for Ensnaring Bridge purposes. That's not happening. All right, Thundertrap Trainer, Force of Will to hand. 3 mana. There's Ensnaring Bridge, which currently isn't doing anything. This in the graveyard with Lazotep Quarry is a little annoying. My opponent can just sacrifice this. I will take 5 here. I'll absolutely Force of Will that. Mostly because I want cards out of my hand. Okay, Kozilek's Command goes very, very deep here. I honestly probably do spawns. I'm gonna leave both of those untapped so that I can filter into blue. All right. Karn seems good. I'm gonna put 2 stock ups near those. All right, there's Karn. What am I working with in my sideboard here? EE is interesting. I'll go ahead and I think Karn minus for the One Ring. Cast the One Ring. I'm fine drawing a card here. I know it is stock up. I'll take another stock up and a new One Ring. This is fine. I really just wish I had more copies of Ugin. All right, everybody is coming to party at Karn. I will just keep Karn alive. I imagine my opponent is gonna like make an Agate Instigator with their quarry. No, they are going for Guide of Souls. Sure. Oh, because they have Ocelot Pride. Yeah, that seems real good. All right, I mean, now this is the point where like I try to find an Ugin or a Mathemagics or whatever and get my opponent. Real Ensnaring Bridge One Ring tension though. Yeah, Mathemagics. I assume this is lethal without counting. These are like 5 each. I need X equals 6, so 14 mana, 5, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Yeah. So blue there, blue here. Yep, 4, 7. All right, a little bit of tension between our own cards there, but big mana Mathemagics pulled through. GG. All right, opening hand has kind of nothing going on. I can't cast any of my spells. So I think I'm just gonna mulligan this one. Ooh, this is the same problem. I will go to 5. The 5-card hand has potential. I'm gonna keep it. Do I keep a blue card? I'm always getting rid of a Karn. I think I am not keeping the blue card. We have a Once Upon a Time for an Elvish Reclaimer, which is not coming down immediately. All right. Big mana play discovered. Elvish Reclaimer comes down. Something like a Guy's Cradle could catapult my opponent forward in terms of mana here. Hey, hate that for me. I am currently failing at being the bigger mana deck, which is not great. Oh, shit. I mean, yeah, I will use that ability. I will pick up... Underground Sea doesn't matter in game 1, so I will just take an island. Everything has gone dark for some reason. Alright, 19. Land drop and pass. Opponent's gonna have all sorts of access to things that destroy my lands here. Oh, am I just gonna die to natural order now? Die to natural order. That's an Atraxa in play. Alright, so Collector Oof is now... Oh god. It's now on the table as well. Going for a Green Sun. Pick up protection. Yeah. So now this Atraxa is very, very difficult to remove. Seems good. That was not a randomly spiked planar nexus. I'm going to play this past the turn. And I think I'm creating a spawn and scrying here. I think I just need to maximize my chances of hitting planar nexus specifically so that I can cast Ugin. Verdant comes down. I know that Collector Oof can potentially be coming online here. I'm taking 11 of my 18 this turn if Elvish Reclaimer attacks. All right, they're having me mill a few cards. All right. Or no, hold on. Oh no, and then target opponent. That makes much more sense. Okay. Stop. I really needed that. So I can pick up another basic land here. Then do Kozilek's Command. I think I have to do spawns and scrying here. For X equals 2. But without the second Urza's Tower, this could... If I hit Planar Nexus, it's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Like, it's definitely worse. I think I just say no to both of those. I think a Stupor doesn't do it with Sylvan Safekeeper here. I need these spawns. I'm at 5. That's not what I am looking for. 1, 2, 3, 4, probably. Well, I guess the Ancient Tomb. The Ancient Tomb could cast Ugin. In which case, I blow up one of my opponent's lands. But I plus Ugin for mana, and I don't have enough to cast the One Ring afterwards. I think I need to fog with the One Ring and buy a turn. So that's just fog. That lets me play this as an ETB tapped land. Then I draw Planar Nexus, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Plus for mana, be able to Karn. Sylvan Safekeeper is still problematic. Casting two things is definitely better, though. Life from the Loam. Going to get Boseju'd again. I don't know that I show my opponent the Underground Seas. I think my opponent's got it at this point. I'm going to concede and not show those. Ugh, my opponent just absolutely obliterated my lands with Boseju. GG. I think I am okay with this pivot plan. Getting rid of 2 Force of Negations. Disruptor Flute is a thing. My opponent's deck has so many different moving parts. I'm not sure how good Disruptor Flute is. Probably good enough. Am I just wrong about the Barrowglyphs? Like, do I just need to get to big mana and kill my opponent? I might just be wrong. I might just be wrong there. They're fine, but I don't know that they are going to beat something like Resolved Atraxa anyway. So maybe I don't like do things like go down Force of Negation that can counter Natural Order and Mathemagics that can just be my way to end the game. Okay. Opening hand has some mana sources, has a Force of Will for interaction, a blue card to pitch, and a One Ring. I'm going to say that this is overall fine. It's a little complicated what land I play on the first turn, because this one lets me cast Thundertrap Trainer, but I'm assuming that that's kind of my Force of Will pitch. If I play this one, I can Planar Nexus the following turn and potentially play the One Ring. So this is very, very high upside. I think I will take that line. Windswept Heath and a Thoughtseize. I'm kind of interested in trying to protect my One Ring. I think that's the way that I do something that is rather strong, unless my opponent very specifically has Collector Oof. If I play Sync on turn 1, I can stock up this turn. Awkward. I will have something reasonable to do no matter what. I think I cast this spell here. I'll make a spawn. Ooh, nice. I will just take that. And then I either have the One Ring or stock up. Opponent takes the One Ring. And we'll see if they have a Mana Dork or an Elvish Reclaimer to play. Bird. More Planar Nexus. I'll take it. I'll need to filter into blue here. Nice, nice. I'm going to take the One Ring and probably Disruptor Flute. I might just preemptively make Natural Order. Lost a lot of mana. That is probably the scariest thing for me right now. Like, my lands eating a Boseju would make me sad, but my opponent would probably target Planar Nexus, and I just have a second one, so I think that's actually fine. Alright. Safekeeper comes down, and then we've got a Green Sun for Gaddock Teague. Wild. Fully wasn't expecting that. Alright. So we'll go this route. Need to filter one of these into blue. And Thundertrap Trainer with Offspring. I pick up a One Ring that I can't cast. And then an Ugin. Ugin is almost cool. So I'm going to need blue to get Gaddock Teague out of play. But Sylvan Safekeeper is here again. So don't really know what I do about this. I gain a bunch of life. Yeah, I simply don't know how I am going to beat that Gaddock Teague. I don't have something stupid like All Is Dust. And I also can't cast Mathemagics because of the X-Cost thing of Gaddock Teague. What a beating. I will just take the hit from this creature for right now. So here is an attempt at getting Teague out of play. It will not work. Okay, that is fine. Apparently I needed to do this on a Sylvan Safekeeper. Opponent can now... Oh yeah, Wasteland makes sense. I don't know, maybe I don't use Sink into Stupor and I very specifically try to draw into another Disruptor Flute. I've got 2 of those and then name Sylvan Safekeeper. Opponent takes out my Tron land. That has an X in it. I think I can pretend that I'm in this game, but I think this one is over. My opponent had a very good silver bullet. I don't regret my name of Disruptor Flute on natural order when my opponent had like bird and 3 lands. That is something that could have made this game very difficult immediately. But as this game went on, this was just brutal. GG. All right. Opening hand is fine here. I have Force of Will as a piece of interaction. I have Planar Nexus and Cloudpost. Are we dredging? Sure seems like we're dredging. I'm not letting you have an LED if we are doing dredge things. There's a gamble, though. Maybe Storm instead? All right. Must be nice. Must be nice. So that's Echo to Graveyard. And we're doing this thing again. My hand is considerably worse in every capacity, but it seems like my opponent doesn't have it. So that's nice. I will drop a Cloudpost and pass. My hand's pretty bad. Urza's Saga. Candy Trail. Not super traditionally strong Magic card, but occasionally sees play in some weird Urza Saga decks. Silence. All right. Force of Will is big game. I think I'm going to put Glimmer Post in play, and then Kozilek's Command on my opponent's turn. Dark Ritual. Beseech the Mirror, which I will absolutely counter. Pitching a Mathemagics. End of turn. I think I'm going to go with these 2 modes. Just store a spawn. Yeah, I'll take a Force of Negation. Ooh, Stock Up is not bad. Better than the Thundertrap Trainer that I was planning on casting a second ago. Here we go. Nice. I'm going to go with Force of Will in case my opponent has some Bizarro creature that they cast, and a Karn. And then I have 2 counterspells to get through my opponent's turn, and then I can slam a Karn, shut off a lot of their artifact mana. I was real scared after that second Lion's Eye Diamond on the first turn. All right, another Lion's Eye Diamond. Silence, no. Force of Negation. Pitch Mathemagics. Lion's Eye Diamond. Gamble. I think that's got to resolve. Burning Wish to Graveyard. Opponent's going to crack both of these, and then cast an Echo. I will Force of Will that. And my opponent's got a lot of nothing. Can I Ugin? 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. Ugin plus for 3 mana, so no. There's 4 mana for Karn. I can minus for a Tormod's Crypt, I suppose. I will put that into play. There's an Ancient Tomb. Okay, yep. My opponent is not winning from that position with Graveyard covered and all the mana off. It is time. Totally into this. Not exactly sure what comes out. I maybe still need this as the way that I beat a couple of... No, this isn't going to beat Urza Saga Construct tokens, is it? That exiles permanents that are 1 or more colors. Yeah, maybe I don't need Ugin then. Just fully plan on winning with Karn. Oh, what am I thinking? I have Mathemagics. I could also board in Hydroblast and it wouldn't be crazy. My opening hand is great in these 3 cards, but I probably just need a starting counter spell. I will mulligan. I will mulligan again. This is what I am keeping. So obligatory keep, probably keep, and keep 2 lands. Rome Mox? Song? All right, that is Song of Creation under there. Right. Yep. Are we going? Yeah, we're going. Hexing Squelcher and the mana to Echo on turn 1 is wild. All right, I need Hydroblasts for the next game. All right, I didn't die. Not dying is great. I think I'll play Cloudpost and pass. I think it's actually kind of close. Or just playing Urza Saga and hoping that I hit Planar Nexus to have 4 mana to get rid of Hexing Squelcher faster. Maybe that's unrealistic. I don't remember this. This is just the other rainbow land, right? Yeah. So there's a gamble. Opponent discards a Beseech. Opponent silences me. Burning Wish. Or a Beseech. Feels like that should end up being lethal. I think this is just like a beseech for a beseech. And then Gaia's Will, and then my opponent can replay their stuff and kill me with one final beseech. So a few clicks later, we do get that beseech. And then a very, very lethal Tendrils, GG. And I guess now that we have confirmed Hexing Squelcher, I will Hydroblast to have a few more outs to that. Be getting rid of some Thunder Trap trainers. This plays the One Ring on turn 2. I don't really know that that's good enough here. This second one I like more. I probably keep this and get rid of Kozilek's command. I'm going to play Ancient Tomb and pass here. I could draw another Tomb and cast Karn, or I can draw any blue land and get Hull Breacher, which seems like a big deal. Opponent is doing a slower hand. All right. I need just a little something here. I don't need much. I'll get a 2. Yes, that resolves. All right. Give me a land. F. All right, I'm passing here, unfortunately. I did not hit another land drop. Any land drop is Karn, any blue land is Hull Breacher. But it didn't really work out. There is a Mox Opal. Kind of want to counter that. It is unclear to me that that is actually important. Like, my opponent didn't fetch another one. I don't want to wait too long and then Hexing Squelcher gets in play. I think I'm going to go for it. Because I'm hoping that I just make it to my turn, play a Karn. Oh, fuck. That, I did not. That's very frustrating. Yeah. Anyway, I did not mean to click that. That was me scrolling over the Karn and doing a whoopsie. I would have countered that. All right. Now that's just happening. Land drop comes down. There's Hexing Squelcher. Yep, I mean, literally exactly what I was worried about and why I wanted to counter that. It looks like I am getting a break here. All right. All right, there is my land drop. My opponent couldn't kill me last turn. Let's hope that's true this turn as well. Rome Mox. That is a Beseech the Mirror. I can't counter that. For Gaia's Will. Yep. I believe that I fully lost this one by physically misclicking, which is very frustrating. A few clicks later, we have a Burning Wish. I can see the writing on the wall here. All right, I mean, that's frustrating. I probably win that one if I don't misclick and I counter this LED. That's all right. That's magic. GG's. All right, final round. Opening hand is pretty unimpressive. I have 3 lands that don't cast Karn as of right now. I think I'll just mulligan this one. This is probably better than the last one. I don't know that Force of Will kind of fits into how I am likely to use my resources here. So I'm going to get rid of this, and if we die to a combo deck, we die to a combo deck. Basic Swamp and Thoughtseize. The One Ring is probably objectively the strongest card in the hand. Lorien Revealed might actually be a decent take, because the way to keep this hand weak is to make it so that I don't play Magic, essentially. I will drop Cloudpost and pass. Flooded Strand is not necessarily the land that I would have expected as follow-up there. I'll drop a Planar Nexus and pass, and I can do a small Kozilek's command to potentially bridge me to the One Ring. Is Undercity Sewers. It's possible I don't cast this because Orcish Bowmasters is a thing that I might expect from my opponent's deck. I could, like, legitimately see that. Oh, no. My opponent's own One Ring. I will respond to that. See if I can spike a Force of Will here. I will say no to a third One Ring. Ooh, nice. All right, your One Ring resolves. You can draw a card. Glimmer Post is an okay pickup. I think I'm going to play my Karn now. It's possible, since I have 2 One Rings, I should just fire off a One Ring this turn, but shutting off my opponent's One Ring seems like a big deal. Tutor. I might just put this Moonsnare prototype into my hand. Now, I'm going to get a Walking Ballista preemptively, in case my opponent has Bowmasters. Like, with 2 One Rings coming, that's a pretty big deal. Opponent to 15. We are doing a flow state stuff. I wonder if my opponent is just a Doomsday deck. Kind of feels like they're a Doomsday deck that has like a one ring that can impact some Doomsday piles. All right, that is reasonable. GG. If I suspect my opponent is Doomsday, do I want creatures that I can turn sideways? I definitely want the Hull Breachers. Ugin is less important unless specifically my opponent sideboards into a bunch of creatures. I think I'm going to plan on killing my opponent with Mathemagics. Doomsday past turn Mathemagics is hilarious. I would like that to happen. I don't know that I'm going to do anything else here. This seems fine. While 2 counterspells sounds lovely, this has no mana. That is not going to do it for me. I would say this is not perfect, but I would keep this. And I think I'll get rid of one of the 2 copies of Karn here. Opponent fetches. Oh, we are going right now. I am not prepared for that. Alright, my opponent has made their pile. Looks like no creature pivot to speak of. One ring isn't here, but that might just mean that it has been sideboarded out. I needed just a little more time. So I think what I'm going to do, put the fear in my opponent. I'm going to do an untapped land here. Ponder is fine. So my plan is to cycle Lorien Revealed, ever so slightly thin my deck, hope to draw Ancient Tomb, and do a relevant Hull Breacher. Alright. Island cycle. Grab an Underground Sea. Oh shit. That can name Thassa's Oracle. That's real good. I will pass turn. I suppose I cast this now. Yeah, that's expected. Am I dead this turn? Street Wraith and the Oracle. That's unfortunate. I feel pretty good with one more turn. I can just hold up, like sink into Stupor and counter that when it comes down. All right, I will resubmit as is. Hope it goes a little bit better. This opening hand doesn't really do much in this matchup other than play a turn 2 Disruptor Flute. I can't cast any of my other spells. I don't know that that's good enough. I think I will mulligan this. This is probably better. Karn represents a 1 ring. Karn, I guess, also represents a lattice kill. I'm a little far away from that in terms of mana, but a stock up is not super castable here. So I think I will keep the Karn. Get rid of Thundertrap Trainer. Cloudpost and pass. Underground Sea into a Thoughtseize. That is going to resolve. That can take my Force of Will. And it does. Force of Negation, not bad. I'll throw down a tower and pass the turn. That's fine. That can resolve. Looted Delta comes down. Sure. Kozilek's Command, alright. I will just attempt Karn, though. Force of Negation, that is fine. Flow State Doomsday is really cool. The deck is quite good at grinding out games. It is so easy for them to just like play traditional Magic and turn on Flow State. Lotus Petal is fine. The One Ring is not fine. Force of Negation, pitching a stock up. And this is the point where like Flow States are just incredible, right? Do I play this land prior to Kozilek's Command? Probably. I also think I do something a little weird. I think I take the card, but I guess I don't need to do this now. I guess if I've made my land drop, I don't need to do this now. I didn't see a Murktide Regent in my opponent's deck previously. Alright, so now let's make this flow state worse. I will scry and draw a card and then exile some cards from graveyards. I will get rid of Ponder, Thoughtseize, Brainstorm. No, I guess my opponent is always going to have a sorcery. I don't want them to be able to respond with an instant, though. Yeah. Bam, bam, bam. Kozilek's Command for X equals 3. I don't have the blue mana for this. That's always a no. I don't want the Cloudpost. Kozilek's Command feels medium. I think I'm just going to bottom that. Thundertrap Trainer. Thundertrap Trainer is a pretty bad card right now. It's fine if I hit a blue land. It's actively good if I hit Planar Nexus. Another land comes down. It's another flow state, unfortunately. That's the cost of trying to play around another Brainstorm being cast immediately. Alright. I have dug myself to a counterspell for a Doomsday, but my opponent has more cards than I do. Battle. Lorien revealed. Absolutely not. No way. Alright. I will gain some life. Not what I'm looking for. My opponent knows the coast is clear. I do not have blue mana. My opponent passes the turn. I will pass the turn right back. I am okay playing these lands out. Like, there's relatively little cost to do so. My opponent is probably at the point where if they draw a Doomsday, they just jam it anyway. Exhibit A. So now the big question here is going to be, are we dead immediately or not? I get a turn, but that's an Ancient Tomb. I'll hide that one. We've got a Consider pile, a Flow State, Balding Tarn. Opponent can then fetch out the land that is the last card and play Thassa's Oracle. And we are dead. GG, that is a 1-4 league, or maybe a 2-3 league if I don't physically misclick on countering that Lion's Eye Diamond while hovering over the Karn. GG's. All right, let's go ahead and wrap this one up. Overall thoughts on the deck list. Not bad for what it was trying to be, but trying to win with Mathemagics was harder than it needed to be. It overkills really hard. Making your opponent draw 500 cards when they have a 60-card deck is kind of hilarious. However, I think the double blue pips were a little constricting here. I don't think I ever successfully used it to refuel my own hand in the mid-game, which would be the big argument for using this. A bunch of times where I had copies of Mathemagics in my hand, I just had other things to be doing with like Karn and the One Ring and Ugin and Kozilek's Command that were just kind of better or more efficient or more important to be doing. I don't think this is crazy in something like High Tide that is big mana and wants to be blue anyway, but I think in comparing this to the more traditional Tron deck that is just more powerful and faster and more consistent, like that is obviously where I would like to be. People have really drifted away from the blue builds that look like this into the more consistent 4 Candelabra colorless builds. I think we did catch a stray today from Gaddock Teague, which is like clearly pointed at the Tron deck that just totally hosed us. The fact that it like shuts off this was absolutely brutal. Gaddock Teague is not something that sees a lot of legacy play, but like was a really heads up sideboard choice from my opponent. I do feel like I played Magic in every round. Like, this was not a brew that just, like, did nothing. This was a brew that consistently played Magic, and in that regard, it gets a thumbs up. But I think this is just a worse version of a deck that already exists. But for those of you out there wanting to live the dream, I think you can go way, way bigger than 500 with Mathemagics if you run hot. And rumor has it that someone cast it for, like, 2 million. Draw 2 million cards, so there might be a world record out there if you want to try and break it. With that, I'm going to go ahead and call it a day here. I hope you all enjoyed. If you have any thoughts about how else we could have used Mathemagics, feel free to throw them down in the comments below. And as always, if you've got a crazy idea for the channel, or even a good idea for the channel, the donation decklist queue is always open. So JNovi, thank you very much for supporting my content, and I hope you all have a great rest of the day. See ya!